Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Treehouse Knits podcast. My name is Rachel. I'm your host, and I'm so glad that you've come to join me today. I have a few works in progress to share with you that might also be ideas for you for Christmas holiday gifts. I've got a few finished objects, and then I have the first farm visit, part of our sheep segment that we've been doing. Up until now, we've kind of talked about sheep in general and the history of sheep, and we talked a bit about the different types of wool. Well, today I'm going to take you on my trip that I made literally 20 minutes from my house to a small town called Alto, Michigan, where there are two wonderful shepherds that run a farm called Never Say Never Farm. They gave us such a wonderful visit, and I can't wait to share with you a bit about their sheep, about themselves, and a little bit about the wool that they produce, because it is gorgeous. So why don't we go ahead and just jump in and get started. So first things, let me tell you a little bit about some finished objects. I finally finished my sheep. That's the Susan B. Anderson sheep, exclamation point. Sheep. This is the one that's got the loops on it. I finished the legs. The sheep now has 4 legs, and I did a little attempt at some embroidery there for the face and the eyes. I love the sheep. He's gonna, or she's gonna hang out with this guy. He still needs a face. Super fun project. I used shepherd's wool from Stonehedge fiber, and it's just a great stash buster kind of project. So the second thing that I finished since the last time we talked, I actually finished a couple pair of socks. These are Opal socks. I'm calling them my pumpkin patch socks. Isn't that a cool colorway? You can find all of my projects on Ravelry. I keep my project page pretty up to date. Again, I'm Treehouse Knits on Ravelry. I knit these on a size 1. These are, actually I did these on a size 2 US. Toe up 2 at a time. This is a more of a sport weight yarn. I just love how it turned out. I cut in a heel. I did an afterthought heel. If you haven't seen my video I created on YouTube, I did put a tutorial that shows how I cut my heel in. If you're interested, take a peek at that. So that's sock number 1. This is actually sock, I believe, number 22 for the year. And then I have another finished pair of socks, sock number 23. These, the yarn, the main color is by Legacy Fiber Arts. They're Sweata Weatha yarn. And the toes I did on Done Roving, just a variegated purple color. I wanted to bring out the purple in the yarn. And I'll be honest with you, I got to knitting and completely forgot when I cut my heels in that I was going to do it in the contrasting color in purple. I got a whole heel done before I remembered that. It was Halloween when I finished these, and kids were coming to the door. I was handing out candy and completely spaced on that, but my husband says it looks fine the way it is, so I'm going to keep it. So there's that finished object. In terms of works in progress, I wanted to share with you, you know what I didn't do is I didn't share with you what is on Emma and Elsie today. So let's rewind a little bit. This is a potential project that you might want to think about doing for Christmas for someone. This is actually the wheat scarf by Tin Can Knits, and I knit this in Barocco Ultra Alpaca. It took 2 skeins. It's a simple scarf. It's a great scarf for a beginner. You can make it whatever length you want. I went ahead and used all 2 skeins of the Ultra Alpaca. I think it's a great looking scarf for men or women, depending on, I guess, the yarn you choose. But what I love about it is it's a little bit interesting because you've got the garter ridges here that are separated by a 1x1 rib, and then again the garter. So for a beginner, it's a really nice pattern to get them used to using stitch markers and doing garter stitch on a flat piece of fabric and a 1x1 rib. But that's the wheat scarf by Tin Can Knits, and I believe it's a free pattern. Don't quote me on that. And they have some great tutorials as well, tincannknits.com, on that particular scarf. The other scarf I wanted to share with you, it's been a work in progress for a very long time. for some reason I just kind of pick it up when I need to just have something that I don't have to think on. This is a scarf that's called the One Row Handspun Scarf, and it's by Stephanie Pearl-McPhee. She created it to use for handspun, but I think it looks fine. You can choose any yarn you want. And what's cool about this is it's a 1 row pattern. So you memorize that 1 row and you do not need to think. You can watch TV, hang out with friends while you're knitting, and it creates, again, what I think is a really nice, nice fabric for men or women. I'm knitting it on Cascade Yarns Baby Alpaca Chunky in the Lichen colorway. But check that one out. Another great gift idea. Let me show you a finished project that was a failure this week. Yes, this is what I think is a failure. I've been spending the last week just kind of trying to tell myself, oh, it's okay, it's okay. This is the Rosewood hat by Jared Flood. And the reason why I think it's a failure is it's huge. I don't know what I was thinking. I knit it with a bulky yarn. This is Madeline Tosh bulky. I love the colorway, but I'm just not sure. I know it's not going to fit on my friend's head that I knit it for. I just can see me walking and it creeping down. This is just not going to work. And I'm not a person that wears it back and slouchy. I don't know, maybe 20 years ago I would have, but I kind of was hoping it would be a little tighter to the head. So, I mean, look at this is a lot of hat. So I think because I love this yarn, I think I will be ripping it out and doing something else with it. But for now, it's going to keep Elsie's head warm over here. All right, so the next and final work in progress I want to show you is something that I'm creating for a football game that I'm going to on Saturday. This coming Saturday, Michigan has a home game. That's University of Michigan Wolverines, which I am a Michigan grad. And it's going to be like low 40s at the game. It's going to be very cold. So I wanted to finally wear something Michigan that I knit. Now I have this hat and I'm going to wear this hat, and I had this Lornas Laces University of Michigan color hand-dyed yarn in my stash. Now when I knit up the swatch, it was just a really wild, maybe I still have, I don't know, it just was really, really wild, and I thought, well, what could I do with it? I just needed to tone it down a little. So I found a couple skeins of gray yarn that matched the gray in the hat pretty well. This yarn is called Warmi by Amano, 70% baby alpaca, 30% merino wool. And what I've done is I wanted to knit a scarf. I went through a cowl phase, and now I think I'm going through a scarf phase or something, because I really like to wrap it around, and I just feel like it's a little more versatile than a cowl. But maybe a year or two ago, I knit a baby blanket. It was called the Chevron Baby Blanket by Espace Tricot. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Francophie Knits, if you're watching this, you can correct me. So I thought, why don't I adjust that pattern to my scarf? So I just adjusted it a touch, changed the stitch count, and I have created this really, I think, cool stripy scarf that I can't wait to wear. I probably have about maybe a foot or more I'd like, because I really want to be able to wrap it around, but I think it's going to be very cute with my hat, and it will keep me warm for the Michigan game, and I will make sure I take off the tag before the game. So anyways, I will probably go ahead and just either write up the pattern for this and make it free, or I'll just put it in my project notes if you're interested. I just think it's a good use for that wildly dyed Michigan yarn breaks up the chaos of it with the gray, and I'm just really excited about how it's turning out. So those are my works in progress. Some things that I got in the mail, and this is a wild hair day because I'm putting hats on for some reason in front of you. The first thing I got, it was a total Instagram impulse buy, but not really, because I have been wanting a set of these needles, and I got it from Shoplouleigh. There's her information. It came from the UK, but I have to say it came really fast. So what I got was this really cute pouch that she made with this really pretty leather strap that just goes through the hole, keeps it shut. And there are my Knit Pro Zings. I think I have 0 to, these are in metric, probably a 3 size in there, but isn't that pretty? Isn't that cool? So those came in, and they came so beautifully packaged with this cute washi tape. It was just an experience to open everything up, and the way that she took care in shipping my needles, she made a cardboard pouch. I was just really impressed with how it came. So thank you so much, Shoplouleigh. I definitely will consider ordering from you again. Another thing that came in the mail is this book called Comfort and Joy. I have been meaning to start some Christmas stockings for our family, and I thought this was just a really pretty modern take on Christmas stockings. In it are a lot of different motifs that I can put in. I think I'll ask the kids what motifs they like the best and make each stocking specific to what they like. I haven't mentioned, this is called Comfort and Joy, and it's by Melynda Bernardi. She is a Michigan-based designer, and that made me happy too, to support a Michigan-based designer. Some really cute, simple stockings in here. And then she does give the alphabet as well, so when I'm putting the names of everyone on here. I thought, in terms of color, I got the latest Garnet Hill magazine catalog, and I love the colors they use. So I think what I want to do is find, I think I'll use shepherd's wool from Stonehedge Farms, Stonehedge Fiber Mill, and go from there. So I don't think I'll get any of these done before Christmas, but that is something that I have kind of in my knitting backlog. And then the final thing that I got this week was my final installment of the Indie Yarn Carnival. This is something that I've subscribed to all year. This is their logo, and it's produced by Erin Lane Bags, and the whole concept is each month or so you get a skein of yarn from an indie dyer, yarn or some sort of bag from Erin Lane, and then a pattern that you can use with your indie dyed yarn. So this month, and everything coordinates so beautiful, this month is this awesome drawstring bag. I really think this is such a beautiful fabric. And she also included, this is the first month that I got this awesome needle minder, or I don't know, what do you call these? Needle holders? Super cute. And then this is the yarn that came. It's a Mrs. Crosby Loves to Play. And I'll get it up here for you. This is Train Case yarn in the Carnival After Dark colorway. Just beautiful. And the pattern that came is a pattern by East End Design Company, the Carnival Twilight Socks, designed by Suzanne Allen. And I can show you the front. That won't give anything away, but those are the socks. So it's a really neat program. If you're interested, go to erinlanebags.com. And again, it's called the Indie Yarn Carnival. I have all good things to say about it. It was a great experience to be part of it for the year, and just to get to know some indie dyers. So that is it for my stash enhancements since the last time we met. Now what I think we will do is get into our sheep segment. So hold on one moment and I'll get organized and I'll meet you back here. All right, so let's talk about my farm visit to Never Say Never Farm in Alto, Michigan. What a beautiful fall day we had. I went with a couple of knitter friends of mine and we just had a great time. It's literally 20 minutes from my doorstep was this farm. And I found Tim and Glenda online. I just did a search for sheep farms near Grand Rapids, Michigan, and this was the first one that popped up. And they had a great inviting website, and I just decided to give her a call and see if she'd be interested in me possibly coming out and meeting her sheep and meeting her. She was very interested and invited me just graciously invited us out to come, and you can tell that it is definitely a passion of hers and she loves to share that passion with others. So we just had a great day. It was a beautiful fall Michigan day. You'll hear in the videos as we're walking around the leaves crunching under our feet. Tim and Glenda are professionals who in the last several years just decided to have their own sheep. Glenda said that she went to the Michigan Fiber Festival one year. I'm not sure how far back that was, but she just must have had a true love for the sheep that one of her friends there said, Glenda, you should really get some sheep. And so she was all gung-ho about bringing, I believe, 3 sheep home, but her husband said, whoa, Mr. Reality, I think, gave her a little bit of reality check. So they spent the next year getting ready to receive some sheep the following year. And since then, they have over 20 sheep now that they keep in their beautiful 9-acre wooded lot. And you'll see from the clips just the love that they have for their animals and how Tim and Glenda, work together as a team. I really got a sense that he's the bronze and the realist of the team, and she is just the dreamer and the beauty and the brains behind just trying to get sheep, beautiful fleece from the sheep. That is her primary reason why she does it. She loves the fiber, you can tell. She was in the yarn industry as a professional for many years, so she has a lot of experience with yarn and knows what she likes and what she's looking for. So you'll see that the first clip is kind of an overview of their farm. You'll see the different types of sheep roaming around. You'll see some CVMs, that's a California variegated mutant. You'll see some Merino, and you'll see some Border Leicester. Now, the sheep that we kind of will focus on today are the Merino and the CVM. And what I thought I'd do before we jump into the video is just give an overview of the 2 types of sheep. So when you see them in the video, you can kind of say, that makes sense, and it'll just be a little more meaningful for you. The Merino sheep is really considered, and before I start, a lot of the information is coming from the book by Deborah Robson and Carol Acarius, the Fleece and Fiber Source Book, as well as information from the Never Say Never Farm website and the Breeders Association website for the 2 different types of sheep. But the Merino are really considered to be the royal family of the sheep of the wool industry, of the wool world. And I just wanted to read to you a couple paragraphs from the Fleece and Fiber Source Book because it gives a real great overview, better than I could ever do. So it begins, Merinos are truly the royal family of the wool world. They may also bear the only breed name that is commonly recognized because it so often appears in catalog descriptions and on yarn labels. The family also happens to have a royal history. Spain, separated from Morocco by a mere 8-mile or 13-kilometer gap of water known as the Strait of Gibraltar, has long been a point of ready exchange between Europe and Africa. The history of the Merinos is one that crosses both sides of this blue ribbon between the Atlantic and the Mediterranean Sea. In the 12th and 13th centuries, Spanish royalty began importing rams from the Beni Merines, that's a member of the Berber tribe located in the area of present-day Morocco, to cross with their best sheep. This was a match made in heaven. The Spanish ewes, when bred to the African rams, yielded fine wool sheep like none other. They were named Merinos after the African tribe. By the Middle Ages, the Spaniards had refined these sheep to a point where Spain held a corner on the European wool market. They outlawed the export of Merino sheep, with the penalty of death to anyone found breaking the law. Then, in the 1700s, some Spanish monarchs began giving breeding stock to their relatives in other European courts, ultimately leading to the Merino's expansion across Europe and around the globe. Starting in 1793, Merinos were exported to North America from Spain in several small lots. In 1809, William Jarvis, a Vermont native and then American consul to Portugal, brought over a ship full of Portuguese Merinos, more than 3,500 animals, providing the real foundation for Merinos in America. So that's a little bit of the history of the Merino. Obviously, Merino wool is a fine wool. It's a next to skin kind of wool. The softness levels of Merino vary. They're 11.5 microns to 26, but typically the commercial Merino that we see is between 20 and 25 microns. Their fleece is dense, and you will notice that in the video how dense, because we get up close and personal with the Merino. Their fleece is really dense, and it actually has more wool follicles in the skin than any other breed of sheep. So because it has more follicles, this makes it a really bulky wool, and that helps keep the wool clean. The tips can get a little bit dirty, but underneath it keeps it clean. Merino wool is a very greasy wool, so you'll get about a 50% yield of wool from the raw fleece that you get from the animal, and you'll hear Glenda talk a little bit about the grease that she has encountered when the shearing happens. And then the staple length is 2 to 5 inches, which, as we said, it is considered a fine wool. So that's a little bit about the Merino sheep. You're going to meet a couple of Merinos. Specifically, we'll get up close and personal with Ford. Ford came from the Henry Ford Museum in Michigan, where they have been working the last 20 or so years, I believe, breeding their Merino sheep to be very similar to the sheep that were the Merino sheep that were there during the late 1800s, I believe, is the time frame. The sheep back then, the Merino sheep, had a lot of wrinkles, which made it difficult to shear, and they bred out that wrinkle so shearing would be easier. But you'll see specifically a Merino in the video named Clara, who is definitely wrinkly, and she also came from the Henry Ford Museum as well. So the other type of sheep that we're going to focus on, and we see in the videos a lot, is the CVM. That's the California Variegated Mutant. And that is a United States breed that the foundation of the breed, I believe it was in the 1960s. Now, a California Variegated Mutant is actually a type of Rommeldale. And Rommeldales were bred from a Romney and a Rambouillet. So again, really nice fine wool animals. So through the Rommeldale, it's an interesting backstory that I read about. The Rommeldale, there was a big herd of them or a big flock of them, getting the terminology correct here. There was a large flock of Rommeldale in California that all of their white wool was sold to Pendleton in the mid-1900s. And a shepherd that lived next door to this large flock bought some of those Rommeldales and noticed at one point that he got a ram and a ewe that appeared colored instead of white, and they looked like they had badger markings on their face. Obviously, Pendleton only wanted white wool, so this particular colored wool that farmer decided to produce just for hand spinners, and that's the CVM, or the California Variegated Mutant. What a name. Kind of wish he would have come up with a little nicer name, but we'll go with it. So their uniqueness is in all their different colors, and you'll see a couple of them in the videos. That one is a dark brown and one in is a lighter color with different spots on it. The CVM, one thing that's unique about the CVM, in other breeds of sheep, what happens is the lamb will be born, say, jet black, and then over time it fades. And there is one you'll see, I believe it was a Border Leicester in Glenda's flock that started out jet black, and she talks about that. But with CVMs, what's unique is their wool gets darker with age. Their wool is soft, next to skin soft, and they're a long staple wool, and they have a very, it's a very lofty wool, very light and airy, and I will show you a little bit of that. I ended up buying some yarn from Glenda. I got a few skeins of Ella, which this is Ella. Look at that gorgeous brown color. It's a very matte yarn, not a lot of shine to it, but it is so light and airy. Now, Ella is a double CVM Australian bond cross, and a bond is actually a cross between a Lincoln and a Merino. So, you know, a ram and a ewe that have very fine wool, named Ella was produced, and Ella's mom was actually the brown sheep, I believe. Yeah, her mom was Coco and her dad was Phoenix, who is the CVM. So it's a CVM bond cross, and I got a sweater's quantity worth. This is, I'm so excited to have this in my stash. This says Sarah from Fiber Trek would say this is soulful stash, place-based stash. I know where it came from. I ended up knitting a swatch. I started out with a size 4 needle and worked my way up to a 7. I know I started with a 4. I learned this from someone. The tail of your swatch, you make knots in it. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 knots. That tells me I started with the 4. And then I just separate it with a purl bump. So the 4 is a little too dense. The 5 was getting there. The 6, I really liked the drape and the denseness of it, but it was just pleasant to knit with. And then the 7 was starting to just get a little big, a little loopy in there. So I think I'm going to go with the 6. I'm getting 5 stitches per inch using the 6. And I want to make some sort of yoke sweater with that. So that's Ella. And then I got some yarn from this sheep named Storm. And what is so neat about this farm is Glenda knows the provenance of all of the sheep that are on her farm. It is incredible. She knows she knows the mother and the father and when they put them together in the pen, and I mean, she just knows. It's wonderful. It's like that everyone has that one relative who knows how everyone is related, and that's how she is with her sheep. And I had to buy some yarn from Storm. This is Storm. Storm is a Merino CVM cross. And this is Storm's yarn. This is Storm's wool. Just gorgeous. What's really fun about Storm is her mom was Miss B, who Glenda got from the Franciscan Sisters in Lowell, Michigan, who have, I don't know if they still have a flock, but they had a flock at one point. And she was an 11-year-old ewe who had never had any lambs before. And at 11, I would probably call her advanced maternal age in human terminology. But she'd never hung out with a ram before. And at 11 years old, she was paired with a ram named Russell. And according to Glenda, Russell was a full CVM that was mean as all. She said he was just a nasty ram that eventually was turned into brats. So this was a mean ram that they paired with this poor Miss B. But during a really bad storm was born. That's how she got her name. And it is just gorgeous. I cannot wait to knit this up and block it and just see what it's like. Again, it's very light and airy, next to skin soft, and I just love the color. Just absolutely beautiful. I might do some color work with my Ella yarn in the yoke of the sweater with this. You know, back to the lambing, you could tell that Glenda had a huge passion for lambing. And one thing that struck me, and this leads us to our takeaways, Linda's love of lambing. She learned how, I asked her, how did you learn how to help a sheep lamb? And she went actually to Michigan State for a class and learned how to do it. She has video cameras up so she can tell when a ewe is going into labor. And she says that a lot of the time when she shows up, the lamb, or the ewe, looks up at her with thankful eyes, just, I'm so glad you're here. So I thought that was such a neat story, and she just finds great joy in the lambing. Another takeaway was Linda's knowledge again of the provenance of her sheep. It's incredible how much she knows and remembers. She keeps a journal, but she didn't have to pull the journal out to tell us who was the son of who and who were sisters, where they came from, that kind of thing. And the other takeaway that I found, there's two more. The variety of color of CVMs. CVMs come in so many great colors, and to the commercial yarn market, that is a downfall. They're looking for yarn that is white and that they can dye whatever color they want. But for us hand spinners, I think it's so neat that we can create garments that are natural colored shape. I'm really excited about doing some color work with the natural colors. And then my final takeaway was about Tim. When Glenda wasn't around, I said, Tim, how did you get roped into this? And he said, you know what? I almost think he said something similar to happy wife, happy life. And he knew it was a bucket list item for his wife, and he just is an incredible partner to her in all this, helping build the barn, and they had friends come and help them build, but you can tell that he definitely is the bronze of the operation. So in all, it was a great day. I did bring back some wool to share with you. This is some merino. It's a merino cross named Sienna. I think I can go online and find out a little bit more about Sienna, but I thought this was such a gorgeous, it's a brown, almost charcoal color. And it's a worsted weight. Actually, it's 3-ply sport weight. I'm finding though, when you wash it, it could be a light worsted as well. But it's a 3-ply sport weight, 250 yards. And I thought what would be fun is after you watch the video, go to my Ravelry page, Treehouse Knits Podcast, the Ravelry group page, and I'll have a question on there. I'm just curious what interesting takeaway you have when you go on the visit with me coming next to the farm. And just go ahead and leave a comment in there. You just have to be a member of the group, leave your comment, and then I will do the random number generator and send out this beautiful skein of wool from the sheep Sienna, the merino Sienna. All right, so with that, we will get into the video, and I just thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoy it. Please excuse any weird camera stuff. I'm still learning how to use my camera. Next time I will know to do it in landscape and not portrait, but yeah, I think it'll be an enjoyable experience for you. And again, thank you so much, Tim and Glenda. We had such a great time. And if Tim and Glenda, if you are watching this and I say anything incorrect, please feel free to comment in the comments below. If you like this video, as usual, please give me a thumbs up so I know. And I just look forward to seeing you next time on Treehouse Knits. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Tim's been pretty much.
Well, hi, sweetie.
This one with a white face and the coat. It's like it's like a hat. It's the line is so sharp.
Now the little merino standing there next to the one that you're talking about looks like she has a hat on. Her name is Claire, the one with the big wrinkles. The Henry Ford Museum breeds for old-fashioned. See, they see Tim. See, they all are going in because they think Tim is feeding them. That's a mother and daughter right there.
Right there. Is that Morit color when they say Morit?
That is Morit.
Yep. See how.
Now see Ava here with the black face.
Yeah.
Ava she's as black as night, but you can't. It's very hard to keep her coat from bleaching.
Oh, was she born black?
She's black as can be.
Yep.
And even with the coats on, the sun gets through and bleaches the tips.
Now, do you have to change the coat size?
I do.
Yep.
They have to be moved up often.
Have you ever tried not using a coat?
What was that?
Wow, look at
Yeah,
that.
they don't. I don't have coat. The ones that gave birth this spring don't have coats on. I call him new guy. When we first got him, he had little. You can hold him. You can hold.
I got it.
He had little horns, and now they're getting humongous.
Look at that.
For some reason, I thought horns.
Oh my gosh. Isn't that amazing?
When you shear them, how close do you cut the fur down?
Close. In fact,
Down to the skin? Or
yeah, the shearer makes me nervous. And sometimes he cuts them, but his is really.
feel it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh, feel the lanolin in
His
there.
is really. You know
Oh my
what?
God.
Do you know what's really interesting?
Forward.
Not this one, but the big ones. I cut their hooves last week, and the girls, those big merino ewes, the lanolin is like caked on their legs.
Wow.
Tim wasn't here to see that. I was going to show him, but yeah, this will wash up beautifully. His is bleached, of course, but the white isn't bleached. It will just wash up really nice.
And Ford came from the Henry Ford Museum.
He did, and so
Why
did
he's
Clara.
four.
That's why he's Ford.
Okay.
Thank
If
you.
you
Bye,
want to cut
Ford.
Henrik, maybe just one more.
So how much yield do you get from Ford, say?
At this age, probably maybe 4 or 5 pounds. A full-grown sheep, 8 to 12.
Wow.
Way more than I need.
Yeah.
Henrik the brown one.
Yeah, Henrik's the brown one. We have so much wool. I put out a bunch of stuff for you to see in the house, but
can't wait.
I didn't even get out. She was in a fire in
Oh.
Indiana, and a lady that we all knew whose farm burned, and then she dispersed what was left to friends, and that her name is Helen. She's older. I didn't breed her this year. She's about 7 or 8, and she has beautiful taupe-colored wool under there that I have done into yarn. But so Helen is. She's Helen.
I was just going to say,
Helen.
she looked when you said her name.
Yeah. I had one here named Nevaeh, and she came from my friend. And my friend came and picked her up the other day, and she recognized her. She was just so excited to see it.
So this is a CVM.
This is a ram.
Ram.
And he has beautiful wool under there.
Gorgeous.
Come here.
What's his name?
Dylan.
Dylan?
We have Red Wings fans.
Ah!
We,
And then this is...
see, he's a little ram. He wants to push me with his head. Hey, can you come? Can you come over here?
Hi, Helen.
Helen.
This is great. You're giving me a lot of
She
time.
would like some green, I'm sure.
You guys are all right.
Wow. Hi, kids. I'm not a kid, right?
No,
I'm not a goat.
I'm a sheep. I was
Hi.
telling.
Helen. Okay, I don't want to scare Helen. Oh, now look at... Everybody's coming now. Hi. Hi. Oh, God. It's okay.
No. And the land, and you know, nobody really buys the sheep and the wool. I mean, I have Etsy,
Yep.
and I have a web page, and I sell some, but
Yeah.
not enough to feed
You want
the
to grab her
Yeah,
head?
not
Well,
enough
you
to
can get
feed
her
the
legs
sheep.
out. Your choice. What do you want?
Helen, we
This
got
is
you.
what she looks like under there.
Go ahead and
Oh
take
my
the legs
goodness,
out.
look at that.
Really? You want
Yeah.
me to?
Oh my goodness, look at you.
This is
Oh my
isn't that beautiful?
That's
And they
the-
look so bad without it.
So she has the coat on all the time, mostly?
Yeah,
To
all the
protect
time.
the fleece.
Isn't it awfully hot in the summer, though, with the coat
No,
on?
they're pretty good.
Oh, my goodness. Look at how... You are a beauty.
Oh man.
Castrated male. I'll keep him.
Wow. Oh.
Honey, he's giving you trouble.
There's two.
I'll probably keep him for his fleece, but see how what color he is under
Look at
there.
that color.
His
I would
mom.
never know. See?
His mom is
I've
the
never
same
seen
color.
the inside.
Could
and
you
the
be
shearing
nice?
And the...
Huh? Could you be nice? Yeah, but and he has
CVM.
he's all spotted, which you don't see now, but he has all different colors of spots. But
And then this fleece, I mean, there's so many different colors on him.
he is mostly CVM, but he's not a registered animal. He's not
Yeah.
a purebred. His so pretty.
But when they shear, I mean, you're getting some of that cream color.
They take
and
it all, yes.
Yeah,
They
so
take
what
it
you
all.
can spin out of it. Thank you, Henrik. Heinrich.
Henrik.
How long do you think you'll do this?
You know, I have 20-some sheep. I was thinking if I could just, probably for a long, long time, if I just had 4, maybe 6. The problem is lambing is so nice. It's so fun. It's so exciting.
Gotta
You know, it's just, it's so amazing. And so we tend to, you know, that's the fun part. So
Yeah.
if,
And then all of a sudden, you got a bunch more
I
sheep.
know exactly. And then we go, what are we going to do now? We